Brothers, welcome to today's training where I want to go through a system that I have created and been working on for probably about the last 3 or 4 years. And has made massive results and changes, not only in my life, but in many people's lives that I've worked with. And I guess so much of it comes back to just being able to take more of that ownership and responsibility of how we choose to live our life. Because it's one of the things that I see so often. One of the things most guys struggle with is they get really overwhelmed when it starts trying to add in more of this inner work into their lives because they don't have the rest of the life planned out. They don't have the rest of the life structured in place. And for a lot of guys, they really struggle with bringing in too much of that structure because it feels really claustrophobic on them. It feels too rigid. Whereas one of the things is when we start working within a masculine and feminine dynamic, when we start understanding ourselves better, it's being able to be the one in control of where that pendulum swings, going into that structure of the masculine compared to going into that flow of the feminine. Whereas if you're too far in one side of it the whole time and not allowing yourself to swing back the other way, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really frustrating. And you're going to go through cycles over and over again. Whereas when you're able to allow yourself to move through that structure and flow, you're going to be able to really step forward and move forward in all aspects of your life. So this is where we can have certain systems in place, like what I'm going to be going through in today's session, to create more of that structure. But then from within that, as you're following that, then that's going to bring in more of the flow and everything that comes along the way. But in order to get there, we need that structure as the cornerstone. We need that structure as the foundations. So let's get into it. I'll be going through a few different bits today. Sorry. I'll just be going through a few different bits and pieces to talk into. But the first thing is it's working through the 4 pillars of living a life, living your best life. And this is going to help you really reclaim that leadership in all aspects of your life, where it's being able to look and narrow down your focus into what is the things that's most important to you. So when we look at that component of living your best life, it's looking at breaking down the 4 quadrants, which is our legacy, which is our identity, which is our vitality, and our expansion, so LIVE, to allow you to really step into living your best life. Apologies for the sounds. I'm just out of my normal home at the minute, so I'm just kind of set up in a makeshift location, but I just want to record this for you, so there might be some sounds, the quality and stuff like that might be as good, so apologies for that. So sorry, let's get into that. So when we start looking at these 4 quadrants, let's break these down a little bit more specifically for so you're crystal clear on where you look and how you can set that up for yourself. So when we look at that legacy component, that legacy is that big picture thinking. What is it that you want to be known for? What is it that you want to be able to pass on to those after you? So when we look at that legacy, it's looking at the components of your career and it's looking at the components of your finances. So what is the things that you want to be able to take charge of and get that responsibility, be responsible and ownership in your career and in your finances, and what it is that you need to set up for yourself that's going to allow you to make them things happen for you. Then that's going to have that positive flow-on effect. So when we look at the identity component, that's the identity is looking at that inner work with yourself. So it's looking at your mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being. So what are the things that you want to do for yourself to allow yourself to really grow in these different aspects of your life? Because when you do the inner work, that's going to allow you to really step out into that outer work. Like one of my mentors, one of the guys that I've done some learning from, is like he's known as the $40 million man over in America, and he says to 10x your business. So if you want to multiply your business by 10, you need to multiply yourself by 20. So your inner work, this identity, by 20. Because the thing that's going to hold you up the most in everything is if you're not upgrading that identity, if you're not doing this inner work for yourself. So this is where it's really important to have this as a really strong pillar of growth for yourself, because that's going to allow you to really step up and make these positive changes. So then the next pillar where we look at is looking at our vitality. So under our vitality, this is where I look at our health and wellness. It's like your exercise and your nutrition and your recovery. So again, each of these different pillars are so vitally important on their own, but you can't focus on one without working on all of the other ones. Whereas like you can't be focusing on your business and your career and your relationships and all of this other stuff, but you're not looking after your health and wellness. You're not looking after that vitality component, because you'll end up burning yourself out. You'll end up getting to a point where your body gives up. Whereas if you are working on all of these, expanding all of these out together on the continuous, that's going to allow you to continually to grow and continually to expand where you need to be. So when we look at that health and vitality component is, what is your exercise regime like? Is it something that's going to be nourishing and thriving for your body, or is it something you're smashing yourself and punishing yourself and actually causing more stress? When we look at your recovery, it's like, are you doing enough things to allow your body to recover? And especially as guys get a bit older, we really need to put in more of that time, focused energy in that recovery component for ourselves. So what does that look like for you? And then look at your nutrition. Is like, how are you fueling your body? How are you fueling your body so you have that sustained energy to show up every single day, to do the things that you want to do every single day and be that man that you want to be? So again, when we look at that vitality pillar, you can see how important that is. And then that brings us on to the last pillar in this component, which is the expansion. So this is my favorite one because it's the ripple effect, it's the big picture. And for a lot of guys, this is your why. So when we look at that expansion component, it's looking at your relationships outside of yourself. And it's looking at like that bigger picture of why you do a lot of this work. It's like when we look, for me, it's like my expansion is directly with my relationship with my wife and the relationship with the kids. But it's also how I want to be showing up in the community. By doing all of this work on myself, by being really healthy and fit and strong, by having an amazing, thriving business and being financially successful, by working on all of these different components, is allowing me to show up fully for my family, to be for them, present for them, to be able to allow myself to bring all of this work into the community more and be a pillar in my local community as well. So again, it's looking at like, what do I want to focus on in that expansion component? How do I want to have a positive ripple effect, not just on me and on all of those around me, is why it's a really, really important pillar. So again, when we look at that legacy, we look at identity, we look at our vitality and our expansion. You can see how each of these on our own are so vitally important. But when we work in these all together, it's going to make us so whole and it's going to allow us to really live that best life. Because again, what I see so often is guys put all of their tunnel focus on one area. We're very singular plane focused. We focus on one area. So I'm just going to smash it in business. I'm going to hustle fucking hard in business and show up and do all of that. And you might get super successful in your career. You might get super successful financially, but your health and your wellness drops. Your relationships drop. All of these other components within yourself drop. You lose who you are because you're just so focused on your business. Whereas other people get so obsessed with the gym and with their health and with the wellness, but they lose their friendships outside of that because they're so rigid within their thinking and their being. Or they end up sacrificing and sabotaging aspects of their career because they're so focused on their health. You can see where as you're looking through this, you're going to see where you've been putting more focus in certain areas and neglecting other areas. And the big thing with this is often you're putting the focus into the areas that you feel more comfortable, whereas you're neglecting the areas that actually need more help and more support. If your finances are shit, more than likely you're not really putting much time and focus into your finances. You probably put more time and focus into some of the other pillars. So again, as we work through this component, it's allowing you to see that wholesome picture and allow you to work on expanding all these areas of your life. In the Creating Certainty and Self program, and like one of the final weeks, we talk about a big component of self-sabotage when it comes in. And based on the work of Gay Hendricks with The Big Leap, his book, The Big Leap, and he one of the big aspects of that is like, when you your self-worth is going to have a certain cap. Your identity is a certain cap of what you think your potential is. And if you break through that glass ceiling for yourself in a certain aspect of your life, it's going to be amazing. There's you might get a promotion at work where you have more responsibility, you're feeling really good, you're earning more money. And but if that is stretching you outside of your comfort zone, you break through that gap within that legacy component with your career and finances, is deep down you might have stories, you might have beliefs, you might have an identity that feels you're not worthy of that. So subconsciously you're going to sabotage another area of your life. So that might be you start picking fights with your partner. It might mean you're not showing up and being present with your kids. It might mean that you start neglecting your health and your wellness, whatever that might be. But so often, if you look back on your life, when you break through a certain area, you see where you're going to be sabotaging other areas. Whereas when we bring that idea of we want to expand through all components within that, is like, if you break through one of them areas, let's look and make sure we're looking and bringing that focus attention to the other areas to see where your self-sabotage might be wanting to slowly start creeping in. And then through awareness, you can start putting things into place to stop that sabotage before it runs rampant for yourself. And again, that allows you to expand to that next level of yourself. Because when you expand to that next level of yourself, it can be uncomfortable. Yeah, you're getting the things that you wanted to get. But do you feel worthy of that yet? It's like you feel like you need to grow into that space. You need to allow yourself to get comfortable in that space before you keep pushing. I relate this a lot to if you're climbing Mount Everest. You don't just beeline it to the top. So you go up, acclimatize, and then you pull back down and acclimatize. You break through that level, and then you come back and you acclimatize, get comfortable there, allow your body to adapt to that, and then go to that next level. Whereas if you just go straight up, you'll be coming straight back down because you won't allow your body to acclimatize. So as we go through this growth, as we break through some of them glass ceilings and some of these different aspects of yourself, be aware that it's really important to hold yourself in all of the other ones to allow yourself to get used to that space. And then you can go to that next level. And through this program, through this exercise that will be showing you, is going to allow you to see how you can start really mapping this out for yourself and take more of that control. So let's get into the document. I'm just going to share my screen here and we can get stuck into this document. So I'll be adding in this Google Sheet for you to work off. So there's two different things you can do, either all of this on the Google Sheet and type it all up in the Google Sheet, or if you want to go pen to paper and like write all of these stuff out and do pen to paper, whatever you feel most connected with. For myself personally, I like to do a lot of it pen to paper, but I do have some of it in a Google form as well. But a lot of it always starts off in that pen to paper because it's just energetically there's a bigger draw for me within that. So again, before we get into the monthly plan, and we need to see what we want to be working towards. So this is where we break down goals, a specific goal in each of the four components, each of the four pillars, with our legacy, our identity, our vitality, and our expansion. So within this space, it's allowing yourself to really just kind of think big and just connect big into what that might look like for yourself. For the top end guys that I work within the inner circle, is like we go through this in a lot deeper process where we really connect this with a big vision or mission or why. We link our values and everything into these exercises, and then we actually split this down into 90-day game plans, where like each 90 days we have specific objectives that we're working towards and certain checkpoints that we're working towards. Like it gets a lot more specific, but for where you are at right now, this is a perfect starting point to really start stepping into it and creating some change for yourself. So as we work with this here, it's allowing yourself to just start thinking, start dreaming about like, what does your legacy look like? Where are you now? Like, you know, before you even start to work on a goal, you need to see and really check in and be honest with yourself. Where are you right now within yourself? Because a lot of times it's like, you don't know how to get to this destination if you don't know where your starting point is. And a lot of times your ego can actually play with you and mess you up, thinking that you're a lot further ahead than actually you are. So before you get into any of this, is like you need to ask yourself a few questions, like realistically, where am I in my career? Where am I in my finances? And get clear on what does that look like for you? Same with your identity, your vitality, and expansion. Where am I right now within this? What does this look like? What's working? What's not working? Again, I'll have a few questions typed out here that you can ask yourself and journal on, just to start getting clear on what some of that might look like for you. And then the big thing with this is when you're setting goals for yourself, like you want to make sure you're following that SMART goals. So they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and have a timestamp on them. So within this, for the guys in the inner circle, we work towards our big vision, which is that big picture thinking. But in order to get to that vision, is like where you are now, where you want to be. That's a big gap and a big stretch we have to go to, which can be overwhelming. So instead of focusing on that, that's where we scale it back to, this is where I am now. Where do I want to be in 3 months' time? So in the end of them 3 months, I know I'm going to be this much further on towards that big picture vision for myself. And then each month we break that down in order to get to that in 3 months' time. What do I need to achieve within the next 30 days? And then what do I need to achieve in the next 30 days? Knowing that each 30-day increment or 31-day increments is going to be getting you closer to that big picture. So again, as you're working through this, you can start thinking about some of that big picture. Where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 2 years with your career and finances? How does that look? How does that feel for you? And again, go through the same in your identity, your vitality, and your expansion. How does that look? How does that feel for you? What is that 1 year vision, that 5 year vision for yourself within that? And once you're getting clear on that bigger picture, let's scale that back. And there's like, what's the baby steps that I need to take? Because again, it's like we see that end goal and we see where we are, and then we get overwhelmed and we end up doing nothing. Whereas if we see that end goal, we see where we are, then focusing on that next step. What's the next step that I can take that's going to get me one step closer? And then what's that next step? What's that next step? And just keep focusing on what's your first next step that you need to focus on. That's going to help move you forward so much more. So again, as you go through these questions, it's going to start getting clearer on what is that, like that 12-month goal for yourself, that 12-month vision for yourself, that 6-month goal or vision for yourself, that 3-month goal or vision for yourself. And then it's like, as you start working through that, that's going to allow yourself to start getting more specific into how does that look? How does that look? Filling all of these out, asking yourself then different questions that I'll have added in here. It's going to allow you to really see where you're at within that. So as you see all of that, you're going to see it's like, right, this is allowing me to see where I want to go. This allows me to see where I am right now. So what do I need to do? What do I need to really create for myself to get to that next level? So again, this first sheet is to kind of that big picture thinking. Then this is where we move into the monthly intention to get more specific within that. So with this here, with the monthly intention, it's always going to be set up into a reflection component and an intention component. So with the reflection component is looking back on last month and asking yourself the questions, and then it's looking forward for the next month, what it is that you want to do. So again, when you see the legacy, identity, vitality, expansion, it's like ask yourself to look back on that month reflection. Look back in the different areas, like, and write down some of the lessons that you might have learned when you look at your career and your finances, where you, and I use these 4 pointers on the right hand side as that inspiration for yourself. What went well? What didn't go as expected? What do you need to improve on? And what lessons did I learn? Asking yourself them 4 questions, these 4 power questions, is going to start allowing you to extract some of the nuggets of wisdom from your last month. So as you do that, you spend that bit of time looking at each of them 4 components, so asking yourself and figuring out how you showed up within that and what changes that you want to make within that. Then that allows you to come into that next part is with your monthly intention. So again, if your monthly intention is, what is your intention? What is your goals that you're setting for yourself this month that's going to get you one step closer to what it is you put into place here? Like with this year, monthly intentions should always be working you towards your goals. Should always be working you towards your vision. And by continuously connecting the 2 of these together, that's where you're going to actually start seeing progress in your life. So again, it's spending a bit of time looking at it as like in my career and finances, like what does my intentions look like? If your goal is to clear off debt, it could be in the next 12 months, you want to clear off your credit card debt and have some savings in your bank. So what does that look like? Again, from this first exercise, you would have gone through is like, my debt is X amount, my income is X amount. So then that gives you a bit of an idea of it's like, right, what are you doing to be able to start closing that gap between them? So then you can set an intention for yourself. And it's like this month, your first intention is to set a budget for yourself and stick to it. It could be starting to expand other income revenue streams, or whatever that might be. What is them couple of 2, 3 goals or focus points that you really want to have as that point of intention for yourself that's going to allow you to move forward in that. So then you do this the same with your identity, with your vitality, with your expansion, allowing yourself to start working through that process, allowing yourself to start getting clear on how it is that you want to show up within all of this. And when you do, that's creating this roadmap that you can start following. So when you look at your intention, you can see in these 4 pillars, what is your intention for yourself for the month? And then that allows you to go from that big vision of where you are now to where you want to be, to actually make it more attainable for yourself and achievable for yourself, because you know what you just need to focus on this month. Because guarantee one of the things that you've been slipping up with, you're trying to do the things that you need to be doing way down the line without having certain foundations in place. Whereas this is bringing that focus and that vision into like a shorter picture, What do I need to focus on for the next 30 days that's going to get me closer to that big picture of where I want to be? And really focus and drill in on this. Don't allow yourself to get distracted by these shiny objects on the outside. Then all the things that might pull you away, just hone in your focus onto this and show up each and every day to do this is what's going to really help move you forward. And if you're doing that in your legs, in your identity, your vitality, your expansion, you're going to see yourself moving forward so much more quicker and so much more consistent within this. And then a little tip to bring this to the next level for yourself is once you have that monthly intention, go through this exact same process for your weeklies. Every Sunday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, whatever that might be for yourself. Go through, reflect back on your week, ask yourself the 4 questions. What went well in each of these areas? What didn't go well? What do you need to work on? What lessons do you need to improve on? And set yourself an intention for the week ahead for this. And as you do that, that's where you're going to start living your life a lot more intentionally. That's where you're going to start really moving the needle forward in all aspects of your life. And start creating big change. Because again, by doing this, it's yes, bringing in more of that masculine component of having this structure, having a system, a plan in place for that. But as you can see by being able to work with this, how this is going to start moving you forward and give you so much more clarity on how you're intentionally spending your time, your energy, and your finances to call in what it is that you actually truly want in your life. Because again, the big thing that's holding most guys back is they're not doing this work. They're just allowing things to go by chance. And next thing, a few days go past, a week goes past, a month goes past, and you're still in the same places where you were last month, last year even. Asking yourself the same questions. The fuck do I need to do? Why is this not working? Why are other people succeeding but I'm not? Whereas starting through this, working through these processes is going to allow you to move forward each and every single day. It's going to be really fucking powerful when you do. So when you work with that, like it's allowing yourself to build this into what you do each and every month for yourself. And again, this is where you can bring that dance of the masculine and feminine into play with that, whereas like this is a masculine structure plan in the head, but bring the feminine component in, the creativity, the intuition and stuff, where you can actually make this into something really exciting rather than, oh, I have to sit down and do my monthly plan. That can be really tough to do. Whereas like I actually get to sit down and create this creative space for myself. Sit down with a cup of cacao, light some incense, have some music playing, do some breath work, do a bit of meditation, whatever, get into your body, allow yourself to really connect in with yourself, create a ritual out of this experience. And when you get into that real heartfelt space, then diving in and tapping into this work and seeing what comes up with it, get excited, get creative with it. And as you do, that's where you're marrying that masculine and feminine dynamic together. And that's where you're going to really, truly tap into where it is that you need to be going. Not where you think you need to be going, but where you truly need to be going. And when you do so, you'll be unstoppable. So again, as that recap, it's starting off with your big picture goals. What does that look like? Breaking that down into what you want to focus on month to month. Then through this exercise, do that review of your last month, the intention for the coming month. And once you have that, do the same each and every week for yourself. Once you have your intentions, that's setting up, it's like, what is it the things that you want to be doing each and every day? That's going to be allowing you to move that needle forward. And this is where you're starting to create some of your daily non-negotiables, your daily tasks, your check-in points that you want to do for yourself. And just finding how this process works for you, finding where you can tweak things up, make it even more specific for yourself. Even for me, it's like as I go through this process, constantly tweaking and adapting little things and in the more minute days, in like the day, in the ways, in the weeks and the days. For me, I go into the next level of once I have that month, then I focus on my week. Once I do this for my week, then I do a brain dump of like what's all of the shoulds and coulds and have to do's, and get all of that down on the big brain dump. And then look at it like, right, that's all the shoulds, coulds, have to do's. Then look at my monthly intention. What are the things that are going to actually move me forward? And then that's when I like marry them all together and figure out, is like, how do I actually want to move forward? How do I want to choose spending my time and energy and finances this week to move me forward towards what it is actually important? Because a lot of times we get busy being busy with all the shoulds and need tos and have tos. rather than the things that is actually going to be the most important things to move us forward. So guys, I hope you found this really beneficial for yourself, and really look forward to hearing your feedback from this. If anyone has any questions, if anyone feels a little bit stuck in any components, just feel free to reach out, man. If you're a bit unclear around any of the different areas, how to get more specific around some of your goal sets and stuff like that, reach out and be able to give you some pointers within this. And also, if you want to bring this to that next level, if you want to delve deeper into this and have support and really achieve and attaining what it is that you're setting out for yourself, this is where you can reach out and connect with me personally. Book in a call. Let's have a chat. Let's go deeper into all of this and allow you to really step into that next version of yourself. Because remember, nothing changes until you change. So just allow yourself to go there. Allow yourself to dream big and get excited over what's coming for you. Big love.